welcome to EnvironMental.
Yeah, this is our podcast where we investigate different aspects of sustainability. And each month we talk about another aspect and we go really deep into it. And then at the end of the month, we talk about what we learned and we share what brands can do. That's this one.
That's where we are today. Yes. This past month, we've been diving into the topic of packaging and packaging waste, learning more about the industry in general. And yeah, man, we've learned a lot.
Yeah, we have.
It's been a big month.
It's been a really big month. We're like, it was only like a couple of weeks ago that we were talking about this book. If you like these podcasts and you want to follow along with us every month and we post one every week. And if you want to get updates, subscribe to the channel, because then you will get a little notification that's like, hey, your favorite environmental podcast is out.
Yeah, and just join the party. Just join the party. Fun. You know, if you're on YouTube, you know how it works. Just subscribe. Yep.
It's really easy. There's like a big red button even.
So easy.
Yeah, push the red button. This is the time.
Right there.
We're giving you permission.
Did you do it? Did you? No, in all seriousness, thank you for watching and thank you for joining along with this series. It has been really exciting to see that this is something that folks are interested in. So yeah. My goodness. Okay, we read the book The Future of Packaging.
We did
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then we chatted with the owner of Eco-Friendly Printer, Greg Barber. Yep. And he taught us more about kind of, I think, some of like the terminology really, that was like really helpful.
And he answered some of our questions about like what's actually sustainable.
Yeah. And like the behind the scenes of kind of like what actually happens when you're trying to choose a more sustainable packaging option.
Like, oh my God, choosing the size of your little cards, your little inserts.
Yeah. Right. Like it goes so far beyond just choosing the right type of paper, the right type of ink.
Right.
Like to, really kind of better utilizing the space on the page.
That is possible to
print.
Yeah. It's so cool.
And like how big of a difference, like 1 inch making it 1 inch smaller and so that you can fit more on a page. So there's less waste of that paper.
Yeah.
It makes total sense, but this is not really something that like is out there, No,
I've never thought about that before.
Totally. And it's probably not something that other printing companies would bring up,
right,
like
they want to sell more paper.
Totally. Right. So, it would cost, they're going to charge you more because you're using more sheets.
Right.
So like, that was a really solid tip. Is to like, think about what paper size they're actually using to print and
just
working.
Yeah. Just ask them like, what size can I maximize the number and minimize the waste?
Boom. Yeah.
Easy.
Who knew?
Yep.
Totally cool. And really, that difference is like so subtle. It's not something that your audience is going to be like, oh, they were really stingy on this card. I'm like, no.
Right. And if they are, then they're not going to be anyway, because you're a sustainable brand.
Right.
And so your audience is going to be like, would be really thankful. And that's actually something you should use in your marketing. Like,
I think that's such a cool thing. Yeah. If that's an active choice that you made, then like highlight that, like make a whole post about this type of postcard or whatever that it was that you had printed and be like, this is why we chose this piece of information. I think that like that sort of like industry level knowledge is what people are so interested in. And like, it's not common knowledge.
No.
That's a decision that you as a brand owner have to make, that like, that's not something that comes to mind when people think of like, I want to start a brand, but it is still really interesting and and a very realistic, very actionable piece of like what an entrepreneur deals with on a day-to-day basis.
Totally. And also something your customers really appreciate.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, if you write to them and you say, we have these new cards, or learn about our inserts, for instance, and then part of that is, you know, what type of materials you use. It's 100% post-consumer waste, which eco-friendly printer offers. Just a little plug for Greg, because he's great. Hit him up. And you know, we just say, you know, we're 100% post-consumer, and also we use a slightly smaller size so that it fits better and reduces our waste on the edges of the sheet. So cool. If I got an email like that, or like from a brand that I love, I would probably write back to them and be like, thank you for sharing this information.
Right. It's so thoughtful, and it really just shows that like you are living this life. Like you're making these conscious decisions every step of the way, because they all add up. It might seem small, but like that's what sustainability is all about, is making a bunch of these small little decisions that ultimately reduce your negative impact or contribute positively in some way. So
right. And about making those choices that are like just to be a little bit better. That's how we evolve and grow.
Yeah.
Just how can I be this much better this year or this month? You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Such an easy change to make too. Yeah. That was very, very cool. I mean, ultimately, so we wanted to talk to Greg because through reading that book and kind of our understanding of sustainable packaging options, paper was sort of one of the top options. And so we just wanted to understand a bit more about that process. So that was really kind of the main connection there, that like, okay, if you want to choose a more sustainable packaging option, you'll probably want to go with paper or aluminum or glass.
Yep.
Pretty much those three.
Paper, aluminum, glass.
Yeah.
And if it's plastic, you have to choose. It's got to be clear or white plastic. Ideally, or post-consumer. Post-consumer plastic that can be recycled again is your best plastic option. Your secondary best plastic option is clear or white that can be recycled.
Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of those like compostable bags that are like a plasticky material that people kind of use for shipping. And I'm not so sold on that. Like it sounds really good, but I don't know if every area would be able to accept that as actually compostable.
Yeah. Like if it would go in the MRF in like the green bin. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because there's definitely some changes that need to happen within the recycling and like centers themselves in order to accept some of that compostable plastic stuff. And I know that that's not universally available.
It's rarely available, right? Like I unfortunately am kind of anti-bioplastic right now.
Yeah.
Like, I want to love bioplastic, but we don't have like a consistent infrastructure for breaking those down. They need a really intense like UV process in order to break down that plastic, and it's not even remotely universally available.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I think we're like a no-go on bioplastic. I don't know.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, if anybody has information out there that can teach us otherwise, then please share. But yeah, as you know, thus far in the research that we've done, it's just not something that is as good as it sounds like it could be.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate. Yeah. I was like, I think before this month, maybe before last month, or last month, I was kind of thinking, because we talked about recycling last month, I was kind of like on the fence about it. And then this month, learning about bioplastics not being a thing. Like beforehand, I feel like I was super, why don't you just get bioplastics? Everybody should use corn-based, plastics. That seems like a really good idea. And like, why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we putting more effort into that? Well, this is why.
Yeah.
I think, but what I do still really feel is that we could figure out a way to not use fossil fuels to create plastics. And I think corn-based plastics are good for that, but then we still need to figure out the infrastructure for the recycling piece. And I think that in the Future of Packaging book, they talked about that as an option, actually, that there is currently being developed a clear plastic that is a bioplastic that can be recycled the same as a typical plastic made from fossil fuels.
Okay.
So, but that's all in development. It's not in major supply.
Right.
So it's not super helpful, but it's good progress. It's good to know those things are coming.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely still worth innovation needs to happen in that direction. But until then, it's important to know that your audience is still living in places where that may not be accepted in their local MRF.
Right.
So giving them options that actually can be properly managed at that waste facility is a better solution in the long run in terms of circular systems thinking.
And one of my favorite pieces of advice from the book was call your MRF.
Yeah.
Ask them what they want. Ask them what is in demand for post-consumer. Like figure out what people are actually purchasing when it comes to post-consumer waste in order to recycle and just be a part of that circular economy.
Yeah.
I thought that was such good advice.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you're in the process of developing something and you could go in any direction with it, then why not utilize that actual real information from the professional in your area that says, that gives you that perspective on what is in demand. And
I actually have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because I've been kind of pondering this, and I don't know if maybe you would have an answer, which is I love that advice, but we were in the Bay Area, which is one of the most forward-thinking recycling. They have one of the best MRFs in the country. If I was developing a product and I called San Francisco recycling and I said, what do you want? They might give me a completely different answer than Minnesota.
Yeah.
But if my customers are all over the globe or all over the country, what's the solution for who to ask?
Yeah, I mean, that is a really good question. There isn't a straight answer, I don't think, because it will vary from place to place. But I think you could also just ask them from that perspective. You could say, I'm based here, but I have customers all over. What do you, in your experience, what material do you think is kind of the best to use, most in demand in general?
So
they might not know, but it's important perspective. In your example, if you were to call San Francisco and they were like, oh, we've just developed this, innovative way to break down bioplastics, it's important to then maybe be ask follow-up questions okay, where is that available? Is that just here? Or I'm trying to create a solution for customers who are countrywide or worldwide. Knowing that, what is your opinion on what materials would be best to use? I think just kind of giving them that perspective would probably get you a better answer than just saying you at your specific center. But that depends too, because if you're a local business,
Totally.
if you then asking local questions makes total sense. If you're shipping and your customers are going to be disposing of your products all over the place, then that's a bit different. But when we worked in the Bay Area, we still recycled a ton of our own like materials because we sort of had a shipping and receiving department in that area, and had to decide on where to put a lot of our stuff too. So it kind of just depends on the structure of your business and where your operations are actually happening.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a warehouse, then maybe calling this area where your warehouses are located and figuring that out might be a better option than calling like where you are sitting currently, you know?
Yeah.
And it depends on
Yeah,
where
also,
your physical presence is, and
yeah, and also talking to your warehouse about their shipping procedures and what they might need and what if they recycle and that kind of information. I hadn't really thought about it, something we hadn't really talked about, but it's along the same line of like, you should know if your warehouse is recycling, if they're using, what kind of boxes they're using. We learned from Greg that it's not really necessary to ship in a corrugated cardboard box everything.
Yeah, not stuff that's under like 20 pounds or something. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just ship in a regular box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also, something that I've heard before from brand owners that I feel like is a cop out.
Oh, yes.
When brand owners start to work with a shipping facility somewhere externally, somewhere that they, you know, they're hiring a warehouse to start shipping out their products. It's I've seen some folks almost use that as an excuse to be like, I don't know what their system is. And so like they don't take responsibility for the decisions that their warehouse is making. And I think that that's BS, because you as the brand owner have control over what you say and require for the people that you're hiring to do with your products. Ultimately, you call the shots. And if you don't want your warehouse to be shipping your products in like a plastic bubble mailer, you have to be the one to demand that. And you can't just say, oh, that's their system. I'm sorry, that's just what they use. It's like bullshit. No. You're in control here. Like, stop saying that that you have no power, because you do.
Don't have sustainable options, like maybe you shouldn't go with them. You know,
maybe you shouldn't go with them, or you can provide them for them. You can supply them and say, utilize these boxes for my products.
Yep.
And like there, you know, you might have to change up the contract that you have with them. You might have to, you know, the way that you might get charged for like picking and pulling fees, that may change, and that's okay. But like, you can't use that as an excuse for.
That's a great call out.
Shipping BS. Yeah, it's just like you have control, and warehouses are used to this stuff. Like they, you know,
that's what they do.
Yeah, that's what they do. That's their business. And it's not a new concept that you as a brand owner want your products to be shipped in a custom way, or a way that is sort of a branded experience. This is not new information. So like, take ownership there. Like, you have that control.
That's great.
Yeah, it's I guess it's just something that was frustrating. It really did. Yeah.
Where I draw the line.
I mean, yeah, it sometimes, like, I mean, we have a lot of conversations with a lot of business owners, and they're always in different points in their business, and some are more sustainable than others. Some don't care about that stuff, and like, that's, you know, to each their own.
But we care. So we are always like, your packaging, like, I think especially now, I feel more strongly about that. And I also feel really lucky that the brands that we work with are working on that. You know, they do care a lot. So that was nice. That's nice. And one thing that like made me really excited also was in terms of packaging was the replacement for bubble mailers that Greg showed us. I don't 100% know where to get those. I know that he's going to start selling them, but like there's another company that's creating those.
Yeah. So there are definitely options out there for like craft mailers that actually are like filled with post-consumer waste materials. Like if you were to rip it open, it kind of looks like a bunch of tiny pieces of newspaper. I also wish I had one. I used to have examples of all of this stuff when this was like a part of the job I had to make decisions for, but got rid of that stuff. But yeah, I mean, eco and clothes is a really, really great eco-friendly packaging option. I believe that we've linked to them previously, probably a month ago, like when we did the brand
we did
brand owners kind of recommendations for the recycling series. So yeah, that still stands. They have some really cool options for that. And because it's filled with that paper, it's mushy. It's like a little, it's so it's a bit protective, more so than like a
manila envelope or something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Another thing that stuck out to me this month was really just sort of how you can really like simplify your packaging in general, but like it doesn't, I think that sustainable brands can and should choose like single materials when it comes to their packaging. Because that's the easiest thing for your consumers to recycle, certainly, but it also just kind of simplifies your like packaging process when you're putting your products together. You don't have to like glue a weird plastic piece on this piece of paper. Like it can just be a simple box that is thoughtfully designed to hold your product and easily recycled, and you can print on that.
Even if it comes in the plastic tube, it's a white plastic tube, and then the label can be, this is I think actually a peely one. Just right off, and then this is paper. Oh, actually, yeah. So like you just peel it off, and then you have something that you can recycle. Like making it easy. Or what I really want to see and haven't seen recently, because I think this is a innovation that we're seeing a lot more in like the Bay Area and stuff. But I think I talked about last week too, is plastic bottles that are really recyclable, or post-consumer plastic bottles that can be recycled again, that have a like severely simple paper label that can be peeled and off, and then the label can be recycled and the plastic can also be recycled.
What would that hold? Like what kind of product is that packaging for?
Soap or anything that comes in a plastic bottle, basically.
Okay.
Or I guess you could do anything.
Is that, so you're saying like plastic bottle as in like that is the product itself, like a soap container, like with a pump?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that there's so much fucking plastic in the world, and we're never going to get away from it. So even if we say don't use plastic, if you don't have to, be 100% plastic free, right? Like we're mostly plastic free, but the reality is there's a lot of freaking plastic out there, and there's an end market for recycled plastic, and that needs to be purchased. Like, so you should be utilizing that packaging, which before I would be like, like, no, don't.
Yeah, plastic free, 100%. Yeah.
Right, but I don't really feel that way anymore.
No.
I feel much more called to say, like, use plastic if you have to, try to but like use post-consumer if you can't, if that doesn't work for your product, which it should. It really should. You can do anything with it, but if it doesn't, just use simple clear.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. And try to find that clear plastic that says that it is recyclable. Having that messaging on the actual thing that people are receiving is very, very helpful, right?
Yeah.
Like you're giving them the information that they need in order to make that decision on when they have to choose kind of how to dispose of it. So
yeah, I got something the other day and it came with like it was plastic, it was wrapped, and then it was like plastic bubble wrapped. It was really, I guess, fragile. The bubble mailer thingy itself said, "Please recycle me."
Nice.
I thought
Perfect.
that was so lovely.
I love that. Yes.
Yes, thank you for making this so easy. Please.
Absolutely. I know. Yeah. And I love that messaging too. Like rather than like 100% recyclable, it's like, please recycle me. You know, it's kind of humanizes it, kind of humanizes the thing.
Yeah.
It has a life cycle too.
Yeah. We
should
all have cycles.
We all life
Life
cycle.
is about cycles.
Yeah.
That's like where my brain has been.
Yeah. Life is about cycles, right? And we have to think about our consumption and disposal of our waste in those same ways.
Yep.
Yeah.
We do.
You know. Wow, what are the other tips we learned this month? My goodness.
You go first.
Okay. Greg opened my eyes to some distinctions in paper.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
Perfect. Okay. So, whoa. Okay. Yeah. So previously, I had thought that like the gold standard for paper was stuff that was like forest certified, which is like it's called FSC.
Yeah, and it has you'll see like a green circle with FSC in it, and then
Like a tree or something. Yeah, probably.
I think it has a tree. Yeah, like a leaf on the corner.
Okay. Yeah.
Or like canopy.
So, and that certification is essentially something that the paper mill has to pay to get. And it means that when they cut down trees, they're also planting them so that it's kind of, they're never taking more trees than they're planting. It's like a zero.
It keeps the cycle of virgin paper.
Yeah. 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 But so that's like an interesting solution.
But here's the thing. You're still fucking cutting down trees.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
right.
It's better.
If you're wanting to source virgin paper, then yes, that is the best option for you. But
it's not the best option.
No, in terms of actually in terms of actual sustainability, post-consumer waste paper is way better choice to make because you're not cutting down new trees. Cool. Right. Perfect. Love that.
Love trees.
And you're also creating more of a demand for those recycling centers to actually recycle that paper because you're trying to buy it. You're contributing to that circular economy. You're being the end market. You are.
Yep. You're also using less fossil fuels overall because it takes a lot less energy to convert paper into paper than it does to convert a tree into paper.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I actually don't even know the process of turning a tree into paper.
Well, they basically just grind up trees and then like mash them. You know the process of creating paper from
yeah. I mean, so it's just like tiny little wood chips that are like really, really thin, and then just add water and mash it and then just kind of let it dry. and cut it.
I think so. Like, I think they like cut it and then they shred it and then, hey, you know what? We have a lot of sawdust in my house, so I will just like see. Gotta like put it in a blender, you know?
Yeah. Hey man, try it.
I'm gonna
Make a
try
whole
it.
notebook of your sawdust paper. That's cool.
€50.
We do use a lot of paper. Like Abba and I both are physical note takers. We like to use our physical planners and notebooks.
And I also use pencils.
Yeah, you're a pencil person.
I have a hardcore the old school rule eraser.
That rules.
So this is a totally sidestep, but like I had an eraser collection when I was a kid because I'm that fucking nerd. Writers
not surprised.
Unite forever. I had a whole tin box full of really cool erasers.
Nice.
And when I went home, my mom was like, "So what do you want me to do with this?" Like a year ago, I was in Michigan for 6 weeks, and my mom was like, "So what do you want me to do with this?" And I was like,
so funny.
I mean, you can like donate those because they're really cool. Please don't throw them away. They're really cool erasers, and like some other nerd is gonna love them. But let me grab a couple. So I got this one, which was one of my favorite ones. But let me show you
solid.
My real favorite eraser that I've had since I was super young is this right here.
Nice. Yes. Okay. Is it like one of those fun shaped ones? Is it like?
Sure it is.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Oh my God, I love it.
Mm-hmm. I probably had this since I was like, I don't know, 10, maybe.
That rules. 8. Wow.
Because I've been this same nerd for my whole life.
Dude, I feel like I have stuff like that too. That's not in reach right now. I do have this really old stapler, this vintage wooden stapler. Kind of,
great.
I wonder if this has a year on it. No, it doesn't.
This is why we're friends, guys, just so you know.
It's the little things. It's the little things. You know, yeah, we like to keep little treasures. Maybe that's why we like sustainability, because it's like we hold on to the things that matter to us. We shop with intention. We think about, the things that we like to have around us, and we don't just fill our lives with like consumer BS.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
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 I have a lot of rocks.
Well, yeah. Same. Also that. I don't know where I've got some cool rocks in here too. I've got this one.
My rocks are currently like.
You got me this.
I like that one. Did I give you that one?
Yeah. Yeah, this one's from France.
Oh yeah. I got that in it was
that mountain range.
Rock climbing.
Yeah, really pretty. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a fun one. I also have this cool thing that my mom gave me. It's a dandelion.
Oh, that's a really good one.
Check that out.
Love your mom.
Wow. Okay, now we're just doing show and tell. Yeah. But oh man. Anyways, we were talking about how paper is made. Yeah.
Yeah. Good thing. Good time stopping you because I was like, oh, mom stuff. Let me show you this cool thing my mom made, but I won't. Even though it's really cool.
Your mom is very creative.
Yeah, she's making lots of stuff. She's really into clay right now. She made me these really cool coasters that say dandelion branding on them.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Her name's Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl.
Shout out to Cheryl.
It's been a while since we had a mom shout out moment.
Yeah. My mom's name is Vicky, if anybody you want to know. You probably, if you go to our Dandelion Branding Facebook, you can see many of our family members because Facebook, sort of a different audience than we have in other places. And it's where family hangs out more. Yeah. So
yeah, my family loves Facebook. They're all over the country in the States with me all over the world. So that's how they communicate. And it's just all my notifications are them commenting on each other's stuff. That's just it.
Yep.
cool.
It's funny. Oh man.
Where are we? We're talking about paper.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So one of the realizations we had, right, was that the like FSC certified paper is good if you're sourcing virgin paper. So if you have that option, then that's a good one to go with. But if you have the option to do post-consumer waste paper, then that is certainly a better option because that doesn't involve utilizing new trees, cutting down any new trees or planting. Because like, what's that life cycle like? You know, how long does it take for a tree to grow before they can make paper out of it? It's probably a while.
Long.
Probably
Years.
a long time. Yeah. So I'm not fully sold on the whole like that's truly regenerative because like,
I mean, it's like long game regenerative, right?
yeah, right. It's like it's a step. It's a
Kind
step,
of.
but
Yeah.
like there are, yeah, post-consumer is really cool. And also was fascinating to learn that like the what I thought was like the bleaching process, it actually utilizes hydrogen peroxide
That's
instead
what they use
of
because
bleach.
that's what Greg is using
Yeah.
because hydrogen peroxide is non-toxic.
Yeah. So
I
that,
mean, peroxide will bleach your shit, but like, yeah, I think he said most printers or paper mills
mhm.
will use actual like chlorine bleach, and that's problematic.
That was sort of the traditional way of bleaching paper to make it that bright white. But yeah, so that's something to ask about is sort of like how are you bleaching your papers? So when you're actually like trying to source paper for print material for your brand, you're typically not dealing with the mill. You're dealing with like a paper company, right? So that they're sort of a middleman between, and they source from a
Right.
bunch of different mills. And these mills all work a bit differently. Greg shouted out 4 mills that are like the best in the States, and then one in Canada, which was the first creator of post-consumer paper back in the day. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
But so like I mentioned that because you can basically go to your paper supplier or the paper supplier that you're like trying to create a deal with and just kind of give them a list of the things that you are looking for. And it's their responsibility to then source a paper from a mill that meets those demands.
Exactly.
Yeah. So asking for post-consumer,
Right.
awesome.
Again and again, like with shipping in your warehouse, like this is still on you.
Yeah.
Don't be like, well, my printer doesn't like do that. So no,
Mhm.
no. You can choose a printer like eco-friendly printer or ask the printer that you're using to use post-consumer.
Mhm.
It's their job to give you what you want. It's your brand and you should build it the way that suits the values that you're infusing into it. That's
Absolutely.
responsibility.
It's your responsibility. Yeah. And yeah, so you essentially just have to like demand these things and it might, make you seem like you are like some sort of a problem customer or something like that, but that's not true.
So
Like,
what?
yeah. Also,
Yeah,
yeah,
also
who cares? Like this is your
like
brand, do it the way you freaking want
right.
to.
And
Uh,
if you're being a problem customer because you're demanding sustainability, then it's not on you. It's a bigger problem within the industry that you're working in,
yeah.
and that's the problem that you're working to solve as a sustainable brand owner.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good job.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think any of these like requirements are going to come out of left field these days. It's 2021 now. There are enough brands that are interested in making these sustainable decisions that they're probably going to have that as an option anyways. And especially if that's something that you're specifically looking for, like like eco-friendly printers, that's going to show up when you when you search for eco-friendly options for your printing and paper. So yeah, I think you just have to do a little bit more work than going to like Kinko's or if that even exists anymore. Actually.
I think is it FedEx now? Kinko's? I'm not sure.
Yeah, they probably got bought out. I don't know. My mom went to high school with Mr. Kinko, actually. Shout out. His last name was actually Kinko. Fun fact.
Your mom likes to tell that story.
For sure does. She for sure does. Yeah, you can't bring up Kinko's without being like, I went to high school with Mr. Kinko.
I know him, yeah.
Yeah. Anywho, yeah, so though these options might not be like widely available in your area, when you are creating a brand, like you can source these things from wherever in the country, and they
exist.
There are solutions that exist for you.
Take the extra like hour it takes to like find the right one for your brand.
Yeah.
People will spend hours and hours and days and months and weeks like building a website or like finding the right logo, but then they're like, oh yeah, my packaging, like put it in a box. It's like, no, let's flip that a little bit, because to be a truly sustainable brand, you really need to be focused on that. It's a huge problem, packaging waste. So
yep, it absolutely is. And it's ultimately something that you as a brand owner need to be responsible for. You are responsible for it. It's something that you are contributing to the world. If you're selling something, then ultimately you're profiting off of whatever it is that you're putting out there. And if you're choosing a cheaper option to ship with because of the cost, and you don't care about the like any sort of negative side effects, then that's up to you. But that isn't how you run a sustainable brand.
Right.
You can't. Yeah, that's not really. I mean, obviously, yes, cost comes into play, and you have to sort of.
Right. But there is a difference between like being a performative greenwashing asshole and like actually not caring, and like not having the funds to invest in this packaging yet.
Right.
There's a huge difference between those two people.
Yeah.
And the way you differentiate yourself is by putting it forward that it's something you're working on, being really honest about it, staying really transparent about what you have going on. If you never say anything at all, people are going to probably assume that you're greenwashing. But if you have aspirations to have sustainable packaging and like make some of these changes, put it out there.
Yeah.
Put out your goals. Like, I think it's really good for brands once a year, and the new year, which this is January, it's a really good time once a year to like share goals, that short and long-term goals that you have for sustainability for your brand. And
absolutely,
that's a really good way to like gain trust, and also to share that you're not like, just because you're small and growing doesn't mean you're not thinking about these options for your future.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And that totally, I think that's a really good point. That, yeah, just put it out there, make it clear that that's like a goal. Yeah, it'd be like by 2022 we want to have fully sustainable, and you can start like one at a time, like how you package your actual product itself, like maybe start there, then go to the like shipping, and then go to all of your maybe like print marketing materials and stuff like that. So like these things don't have to happen all at once, and not everything has to be sourced from the same company and stuff. Like you can really do anything that you want, and
yeah. And I was gonna say, also, don't like be like, we have the sustainable option anymore. So this 1,000 inserts that we have that are like not as sustainable, we're not going to send in our packaging, because that also is just wasteful. Like, make sure you use through what you have before you migrate over. That's something that really bothers me, or that like is a little bit of a pet peeve for me, is when the new like look comes in or something, and then the other pieces just go to waste, and then they just sit somewhere and they're useless and no one ever sees them, they're not used or whatever, you know.
Right. That is a potential that can happen when you're changing things up, right? Because if you're changing packaging for everything, you'll probably have, you have some stock of some products that maybe sell a little bit slower than others, but some may advise you to, like, if you're changing your branding, if you're changing your packaging, do it all at once.
No.
But then it's like, okay, well now, and like you were saying, we have 1,000 extra boxes that are like the older one. Like, now we're just gonna throw them away. Just
cool,
like,
bro. That's a great sustainable goal.
Like, that's not right. If it's just for the sake of like looks, or like you're making a that's such a backwards way of thinking, right? Like, if you're making this change in order to be more sustainable, but you like are doing it so it's like only based on aesthetics,
right?
Like that's
greenwashing.
That's bullshit. Yeah. That's my word of the day. I call everything bullshit today.
We're calling you.
Yeah. I mean, these are some of the decisions that you have to make, that when you're like dealing with multiple products and packaging and like unit cartons and paper inserts and cards that go in order and the void fill in your packaging itself and your shipping boxes, like that, that is something that we actually didn't even, cover, but
void fill.
Yeah.
Greg covered it a little bit. He mentioned the like cellulose like peanuts that break down. Those are really nice.
Those are
just using shredded paper.
Yep. Definitely. Those are really common, or just like craft paper is common as well.
Yep.
Yeah. But ultimately, a lot of that can be solved by designing your actual product packaging in a way that can potentially be its own shipping box, that has enough support and has specific areas where you can put your products that are safely protected, but it still closes in a way that can be sealed, and that itself, that unit can be shipped.
Has a space for a label.
Yeah, I love when brands do that. It's definitely possible. And then you don't need any additional box outside, unless, someone orders multiple products, and then it's like, okay, cool. If everything's kind of uniform in shape, then that certain shipping boxes fit well for, so
right.
Yeah, it's all of these things just take some conscious thought and some actual, like, you just kind of have to figure out what works best for your product, and your customers honestly may be able to give you this feedback.
Yep.
Yeah. Actually taking a look at, like, some of your past orders and being like, okay, like,
have a box shipped to yourself.
Yeah. Kind of see what they're experiencing, and what are the most common products to be shipped together? What are people purchasing together? You don't have to solve for every use case, but like thinking about what's actually happening, how people are actually interacting with your products, and trying to make solutions off of that real data is really helpful.
Great for your brand.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we do a quick round? I don't know if I can remember them all, but can we do a quick roundup of like the
suggestions? Boom. Recommendations. Yes.
One, use packaging that is like easily recyclable in current infrastructures.
Yes. Yes. 2, try to use like single material.
Single material. Yep.
Yeah. Avoid mixed materials and
yeah. And if they are mixed materials, kind of like make them easy to separate.
Yeah.
3, use post-consumer whenever possible, especially paper and plastic.
Paper and plastic. Yes.
Everything, glass, aluminum, all the things. Use post-consumer.
Yeah. True. 4 was add that messaging on your packaging that says, hey, recycle me. Cute. That's fun. Do it.
5, share your goals. If you have packaging goals, share them with your customers because they'll appreciate it.
Yes.
I can remember.
6, and these might not be in order because now I'm like, okay, 1 was like, if you're having someone else ship your products, talk to them about what options you have, what control you have, how you can make that process more sustainable, even if they're not automatically doing that. You're still in control.
Oh yeah, talk to your local MRF about what they want to see. We have a ton of awesome tips.
This was jam-packed.
Yeah. 8 was also along the same lines, is like talk to your packaging company and be demanding about using post-consumer and like where they source and how they get their supplies.
I think just to expand on that, where not just your packaging company, but also where you're supplying your like paper marketing materials.
Yes.
Any print material, any
yes.
Yeah.
The last one, you'll try to look into like creating your shipping boxes and like how you're filling the void spaces and like what you have into using less materials overall.
Yes, right. Totally. Yeah.
I think we maybe made it to 10.
Nice. 10 tips, plus you got a show and tell, plus you got some mom shout outs. What more could you want from a podcast episode?
From a podcast episode about packaging.
We showed you rocks. We showed you vintage office
razors.
Oh man. Yeah, and for the sake of the Bernie meme that is spread across the world on January 21st, here's Bernie Sanders. Let's shout out Bernie Sanders. Oh man.
Anything else you want to shout out?
I mean, yeah, I think that's pretty much it, but we just want to kind of empower you to be equipped with this information and to know that you're in control, you're in the driver's seat, and you can know, like, anytime you're reaching out to a new company to perhaps create some sort of an ongoing work contract with them, have a list of your requirements as a sustainable brand. These are important to me. Do you meet these requirements? And if the answer is no, there is a solution out there for you. Like there's,
And if you need help, hit us up. We can help you.
Yeah. Don't compromise on your values just because you don't know of the resource right now, because it is out there. Absolutely. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Oh, we'll be back next month talking about
Deforestation. I shouldn't say that so
Don't.
Nope.
No, it's terrible, but it's an interesting connection to paper because this came to mind because paper is one of the more sustainable options for packaging, but what issue does that unfold is like the overuse of paper.
Is it really?
Is it really? Right. Yeah. What happens on the side that we don't see,
Right.
Like,
so the book that we're going to read next week, we're going to talk about how we feel about deforestation and just what we know about it already.
Yeah.
And the book we're going to read next month is by an indigenous Amazonian man who wrote about saving his part of the rainforest.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the book right now, but I'm really excited to dive into that.
Yeah, it's almost like the truth about life or something. Something really. Oh, it's literally called Save the Planet.
Okay.
Holy moly. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm really excited to like see because it's a little bit different. We've been talking a lot about like how infrastructure is working, but I believe it is a first person story of what it's like to live in the Amazon, the lungs of the planet, and to have to watch them be ripped to shreds and deforested. Yeah. So I'm excited to, maybe not excited isn't the right word, but I am looking forward to diving into that.
Yeah.
I might cry.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be a different type of topic because it is something that is, I mean, all of these that we're going to deal with and have dealt with are so multifaceted.
Yeah.
But this one in particular is so massively connected to so many industries.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to claim that the paper industry is all the one that's in control of all of the deforestation issues, because it's not.
Not even close.
Not even close, but we just kind of want to better understand, like, okay, how is it contributing? Is this solution as sustainable as it seems, just because it can be recycled? Like,
right. And also, like, that's not the only aspect of sustainability. Like, deforestation is a massive part. This podcast is really about deep diving into these parts of sustainability.
Yeah.
When we can offer brand solutions, that's great. That's one of our main goals for the month. But sometimes it's really just about like diving into an issue that's happening, and deforestation is a huge one.
Totally. Yeah. And it's just something that we think that we really are, interested in learning more about, and something that we shouldn't ever forget about. And if we can we as individuals, as brand owners or as consumers, can make better informed decisions, then that's really what we want to help uncover in these episodes. So
indeed.
Yeah. So subscribe if you're interested in that journey. Follow along with us and learn with us and teach us if you can, like this. Yeah, this is definitely
a learning for us.
Yeah, we are not experts in any of these fields.
We are marketing experts, and we want for sustainable brands, and we want to learn more about sustainability.
That's
what we're doing. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody, or watching if you're on YouTube, and we will chat with you next time.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.